If you've been following the channel for a while, you know I spent a lot of time hunting down the ultimate MS-DOS gaming laptop to answer one question: how far can you push space efficiency without sacrificing native DOS compatibility? But along the way, I stumbled upon a fascinating video about the WeeCee small computer. That naturally got me thinking, what if we start looking beyond traditional laptops for our retro PC fix? Over the past year, I have been completely captivated and inspired by several incredible modern DOS and retro PC projects, especially the groundbreaking work from Raspberry, the WeeCee, and also the ITX Lama and Pixel x86. These projects are proving that compact, purpose-built systems can deliver outstanding native MS-DOS performance. This ultimately led me down to the industrial PC board path. However, there's a catch. New industrial solutions like those from Pixel x86 and ITX Lama come with a price tag that can quickly put them out of reach for many enthusiasts. So I started digging into the used surplus boards, decommissioned systems, and overlooked hardware that might just deliver an authentic native MS-DOS experience, but at a fraction of the cost. The world of industrial hardware is defined by two primary, compact form factors that are highly relevant to our mission: the ultra-compact PC104 standard and the slightly larger, highly versatile backplane PC, particularly the half-size card format. Most were built around the ISA and PCI buses for decades of industrial availability, satisfying the fundamental requirements for native MS-DOS gaming: exceptional expansion, hardware-level compatibility, and the precise timing that vintage games demand. Their design goal is 24/7 operation, making them inherently stable, while their compact size, far smaller than traditional AT or ATX desktops, perfectly meets my space-saving objective. That exploration is already turning up some very interesting results. For my first system, I managed to track down a PC104 board from AAEON, model PCM-3335. The heart of this little board is an ALi M6117 chipset from Acer Labs, with a processing unit that is equivalent to a 386SX at 40 MHz. The SX here means it has a 16-bit data bus compared to the 32-bit bus in a 386DX CPU. It also sports a Chipset Technologies 65545 graphics chip with half a megabyte of video memory. One of the main caveats with these surplus boards is that they are often sold without any cables. Fortunately, I could easily find the manual online and was able to identify the necessary connectors and their pin outs. To get this thing running, I needed to find the power, VGA, keyboard, and IDE ports. It doesn't seem to have a PS2 mouse port though, so a serial mouse will be necessary. To power it up, I'm using a Pico power supply unit. The mainboard takes a standard 3.5-inch floppy drive power connector, and while it operates on 5 volts, the system can also take the 12 volts line if present to energize the legacy ISA bus 12 volts rail. To get visual feedback of the boot up, I'm now connecting the VGA connector. And here I have a standard 12 volts power brick that will power the system. With everything now hooked together, it was the moment of truth. Yay, it's alive! I decided to go with an IDE to microSD board and a 2GB microSD card for the hard drive. To hook up the 2.5-inch connector on the motherboard, I needed a 3.5-inch IDE converter cable. I keep the cable short so it would work with the plan I'm going to show you later in the video. Let's do a quick check of the BIOS settings. I am just going to leave the hard drive type to automatic detection. We can find all the traditional settings typical to systems of the 386 era, but nothing much more. I'm now proceeding to a complete boot sequence to check if my microSD card is detected properly. Success! Everything seems fine. Here we have the command prompt. Besides beeps, this motherboard does not have any other sound capability. After some serious searching and a big dose of patience, I managed to obtain an ESS Audiodrive 1869 PC104 sound card. This card doesn't have a hardware wavetable, but it does provide a MIDI game connector that will allow the use of an external MIDI sound module and also a game controller. The PC104 system is versatile as it lets you stack expansion boards either on top or below. Ideally, you'll want standoff separators between each board to avoid unnecessary bending. The same generic ESS ISA card drivers work, and as with most ESS sound cards, audio levels are adjusted with the ESS Vol utility. Time for some benchmarks. In 3D Bench, it scores 12.2, and Norton sysinfo indicates performance just below a 386DX33, which is fantastic for DOS games up to the early 90s. There is not much CPU tweaking possibility, as it doesn't respond well to setmul, and the BIOS doesn't offer any settings. To slow it down for those really CPU-sensitive games such as Tesseract 3, MoSlow is a good option. One thing worth noting, I've been encountering some compatibility issues with the graphics chips on this board. Although rare, in some games the graphics are corrupted. For example, here in Lemmings, some levels are fine, while in others there are artifacts showing. As a bare board, it's not very practical to use, so I've been searching around and found this aluminum 6.3-inch enclosure that should be able to fit it in perfectly. To facilitate file transfers, I'm cutting a slot into the front panel for card reader access, and I also drilled a hole for the power button. For the rear panel, I'll be CNC milling a 1.5mm aluminum plate for a cooling fan and for the various ports and connectors. And since I'll fit a lot of components inside the casing, I'm adding a Noctua 40mm fan to keep things cool but quiet. Next, I'm fastening the remaining connectors: PS2 keyboard port, the 9-pin serial port, the MIDI game port, 3.5mm audio connector, and the VGA connector. I'm using 10mm T-rails that will hold the standoffs for the various boards. To secure the rails in place, I'm using very high bond VHB two-sided tape. In the front area, I'm installing the mini SD card drive board so that it aligns nicely with the front panel card slot opening. Next is the ESS sound card, which is secured with more standoffs, on which will sit the CPU mainboard. I had to do a few attempts in order to find the right wiring path to keep everything clean and not to obstruct any critical components from proper airflow. Now that everything inside is in place, I'm going to close up, starting by fastening the front panel to the base, followed by fitting the top cover. Everything fits nicely so far. Nothing feels tight nor obstructed. And finally, I'll screw the back panel back. And voila! I'm quite satisfied with the final result. Let's put back the micro SD card and hook up all the peripherals: PS2 keyboard, serial mouse, the monitor, and a MIDI splitter cable that will allow me to connect my Roland SC-55 external sound module and a game controller. And now, the best part. I press the power button. The fan spins up with a barely audible whisper. Everything snaps to life, straight from a clean, no-nonsense DOS 6.22 environment, like it never stopped being the 90s. No long boot delays, no layers, just raw hardware doing exactly what it was built to do. And as the system settles in, it hits me. This tiny aluminum box is quietly running the entire early DOS era. Xenon, Incredible Machine, Lemmings, Ultima, Pinball, Commander Keen, Wolfenstein 3D. Ready at a moment's notice, with that unmistakable feel you only get from a native MS-DOS gaming machine. On real hardware, real sound, not emulation, just DOS, the way the games were meant to run. It's compact, it feels authentic, and it might honestly be the most space-efficient classic gaming PC I've ever owned. It all fits neatly on a bookshelf, a desk corner, or even behind a monitor. If you're tired of chasing fragile vintage laptops or oversized desktops, industrial computers might just be the most underrated DOS gaming platforms out there. And if that's your kind of retro madness, you know what to do. Subscribe, set your alarms, and share.